Hello, family and friends of St. Thomas Episcopal Church. My name is Gloria Taitt Williams, and I've been a member of St. Thomas Church for over 40 years. God has always been in my life from the beginning of my life. It was no coincidence when I found a picture of myself, a 4-year-old child in Panama, clutching and hugging an LP record album. I lost track of that picture, but it was etched in my mind forever. I realized in my adult years that was a premonition of the beginning of my love for music and song. Presently, I now clutch to the idea and the goal of making a legacy CD album, an idea inspired from Derek Denny. I'm also 15 years with an overdue goal of writing a book of poetry, but everything happens in God's time. Every story has a beginning, and my story began when my parents, George and Valerie Taitt, came to America. They later sent for my sisters, Sandra, Leona, Ophelia, Belinda, and myself, to come to America. At age 5 years old, I started going to school, and my love for music grew when I began singing nursery rhymes and songs from TV commercials. As an adolescent child, I was lost in my world of listening to all varieties of music, especially all the latest music from the records that my father bought. In my early teens, one of my girlfriends nicknamed me Radio because I sang all the songs from the radio, from all the radio stations. Those experiences were my biggest influences to singing. But I also developed a love for sewing at age 14 years old from a home economic class. I pursued that craft vigorously, following in the footsteps of my mother when she used to sew. In life, we never know how blessed we are until we reach our adult years. I was blessed with a father who provided for his family, working 2 jobs. He worked in the day as a shipping clerk in New Jersey and at nights a maintenance man in Manhattan. My mother worked in the cafeteria at Roosevelt Hospital in Manhattan, and later she advanced herself to the data processing unit. My parents' foundation of working hard and providing for their family kept our family love and unity very strong. Their legacy continues to stay strong in my children and in my children's children's generation. When I reflect back in the times of my joyful youthful years, I sang in junior high school choruses, and in my early 20s, my mother constantly insisted that I should join St. Thomas Church Choir. And during that time, my mother was very active. She was a very active member of St. Thomas Church. And it was her strong religious background that kept God in my life. After graduating from college, I was married with children at a young age. And a year later, I began working for the City of New York's Police Department. During that time, I continued to pursue my passion for fashion design. I went back to school at night, attending FIT, Fashion Institute of Technology. While I was sewing for customers and designing for numerous fashion shows, singing took a back seat, and I only sang at home. My life was so busy, it was by the grace of God that I was able to accomplish so many things at the same time. I realized God had to be in the center of my life, making it all possible. I remember many times sewing into the wee hours of the morning, praying at my sewing machine, asking God to help me get through my deadlines. I can truly say God had never failed me. I completed so many commitments of weddings and fashion shows through the years. God carried me through my joy, my happiness, my pain and my sorrow, my trials and tribulations, and through a very turbulent marriage. After 14 years of marriage, I became a single parent. As I struggled through my stressful years, I prayed and kept God in my life. God was in the center of my life, giving me the support of my family, friends, co-workers, and church family. Those life experiences molded me into a strong, independent woman of God. God will take care of you through every day or all the way. He will take care of you. God will take care of you. My mother used to tell me, she told me often, we all have our crosses to bear in life. Meaning, what I interpreted, we all have our problems. But keep the faith because God will provide. My parents' support and inspiration kept me strong while I was raising my children and pursuing my goals and using God's gifts. My mother would say it would be a sin not to use the gifts God has blessed you with. My father always reminded me many times saying, you're a designer. You have to look like a designer also. You work to make others look good, and you have to do the same for yourself. And as I reflect back through the chapters of my life, I lost my father to an illness in 1992. Years later, I met a good man, Glenn Gilpin, who became my significant other and my soulmate and a positive role model for my children. I was continually being blessed. God helped me to pursue my dreams in the fashion world, and House of Taitt Fashion was born with the partnership of Glenn Gilpin. Sadly, 7 years later, in 2003, he died suddenly from a heart condition. And one morning, the day after my birthday, I kissed him and said, "Have a good day," not knowing he would never return. It was another tragic experience for me, but God was still in the midst of that day because he had a business card in his wallet. It was a business card of Father Rene John from St. Thomas Episcopal Church, and they were able to notify me. And 3 years later, my mother passed away in 2006. My family's love and support helped me through those painful times, and prayers drew me closer to God for strength. My personal relationship with God became stronger. I've learned through this testimony, loved ones can be separated from us through the physical loss, but God will never separate from us. God had always been a sure presence in my life, revealing himself to me during my pain, my sorrow, my joy, my happiness, and in my times of trouble. God has always been my solid rock. On Christ the solid rock I stand, all other ground is sinking sand. All other ground is sinking sand. God carried me as I raised my children and helped to raise my grandchildren while pursuing my goals and talents. I've come this far with faith in God's help. Every day I go through to get through, with God always, always the source and the strength of my life. Thanks be to God.